possibility that you've been consuming a daily dose of artificial hormones and growth stimulants on a day-to-day basis. It may seem impossible, but if frequently grown crops and vegetables make a frequent appearance within your diet, then you've been doing just that. These staples of our diets, known as genetically modified organisms, have become increasingly subject to chemical processes that alter them, introducing harsh chemicals and synthetic substances into what was once considered a natural source of our nutrients. Some extremely common consumables comprise the list of those most affected by this process. Corn, soybeans, rice, tomatoes, and plums, for example. This means that nearly all of us are affected by this process of genetic modification. I've actually written research on this topic for a number of assignments in the past, and I'm currently in the process of writing a 12-page research paper for it for another professor. So I feel as if I have a broad knowledge of the topic. The following presentation will explain just how much of an impact these GMOs have on our society and what we can do to stop them from having such a bearing on the community. Genetically modified organisms have created quite a controversy concerning the safety of their use and the guidelines for their use as well. Their popularity has exploded within the agricultural community, with over 8 million farmers utilizing them to plant a combined total of over 81 million hectares by the year 2004. This is according to Professor Nancy Nullis, a noted Australian microbiologist, in a paper she prepared for the Environment of Department and Heritage. Some most cited examples of their harm include the risk they present to both humans and the environment. These risks include insects gaining resistance to the repellents used on the crops, poor digestion and nutritional value, and the potential of these crops producing a harmful toxin or allergen. This is also according to research done by Professor Nancy Miller in her paper. In addition to this, an article by Anthony Connor published within the Plant Journal informs us that some methods of genetically improving these crops include chemical and radiation treatments, in vitro fertilization, and manipulation of chromosome numbers. Sounds appetizing, doesn't it? Professor Lindquist from the University of Iowa College of Law states that the most glaring example of their harmfulness occurred in the year 2000, when over 350,000 acres of corn were found to contain a chemical deemed by the EPA as, I quote, unfit for human consumption. This ended up leading to a recall of over 2.5 million snacks containing corn from shelves, which was a large-scale disaster in terms of safety and economics. An article in Progressive by Paul Koberstein actually claims that big food industry companies frequently intimidate and criticize scientists who intend to publish studies on the long-term harmful effects of eating these genetically modified organisms, which only adds to the speculation of their safety. Now that you understand exactly why these foods are such an issue, what should you do in order to fix the problem? In order to stop the overwhelming spread of these genetically modified organisms, we must push for more regulation of these products and strive to purchase more naturally grown food. As Stephen Lindman, a writer and news TV personality, points out in an article for Global Research, the FDA has inadequately tested the chemicals found within genetically modified crops. He states the agency claimed it was not aware of any information showing that foods derived by these new methods differ from naturally grown foods in any meaningful way. This lack of testing by the Food and Drug Administration has only added to the uncertainty of what potential harm may spawn from the constant consumption of genetically modified crops, and means it is necessary for us to fight the need for proper labeling on these foods. Foods free from additives are required to be deemed USDA organic on their packaging. The more we buy of these, the better, as it will lessen the foothold these GM crops currently have on the agricultural market. Let's think of what can happen if we begin, or if we fail, to take action on this subject. If we strive to include more organic products within our diets and cut out genetically modified foods, it can help put an end to the chemical processes which have become so prevalent. Naturally grown foods contain no synthetic chemicals or pesticides, therefore lowering the chance of harmful side effects that might come from genetically modified crops. And as was stated earlier, these crops have recently exploded in popularity, with over 8 million farmers currently utilizing them in their crop rotation. This number is only increasing. If If we continue to consume these plants, they will continue to have their foothold on the market, and the availability of organically grown foods will dwindle. So what can you do to stop this? It is up to us to put a stop to the end of genetically modified foods. Through encouraging the government to begin more regulation and switching to organic ingredients, we can help slow down the foothold that GMOs have on the agricultural society. Our first step to making a difference is to seek out naturally grown foods, certified USDA organic, in order to begin using less plants that contain herbicides and pesticides. Grocery stores such as the Fresh Market and Whole Foods specialize in carrying these organic products. But I do understand this can get a little pricey as they tend to charge a little bit more than your average grocery store. So some other stores, if you're looking to spend a bit less, are Aldi and Sprouts, as they also carry a large assortment of these free of genetically modified foods. Thankfully, more and more consumers seem to be following the pattern of implementing these organic foods within their diets. As you can see from this information presented by Western Washington University, the forecast for United Organic Food Sales has increased from $28.9 billion in 2010 all the way up to $42 billion by the year 2014. This is a very encouraging statistic and shows that a lot of people actually do care about cutting these genetically modified foods out of their diet. We must encourage the FDA to begin more strict regulation of genetically modified organisms, submit petitions, and write your local politicians. Just do anything to get your voice heard. And in conclusion, now that you've been made aware of the intensive chemical process that our foods undergo on such a constant basis, and what a large percentage they make up of the agricultural market, it is up to you to take action. If nothing is done to solve this issue, the harmful side effects of GM crops will only become a mainstay within our society. This is an issue that is prevalent within every one of our lives. And becoming more informed on the facts of the matter shows just how important it is to help make a difference. I urge all of you to play your part in the fight against genetically modified foods, and urge you to spread the message.